Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now Tyson Fury has praised Anthony Joshua for taking his loss against Andy Ruiz Jr. like a man because he was talking about Deontay Wilder and him making all of these excuses, and he said that if he was in that position, he would not make any excuses. And to look at Anthony Joshua, he never made any excuses. He said he lost to the better man, got on with it, came back and won the rematch. So Tyson Fury has praised AJ for that mental strength going into the Ruiz rematch and taking his loss like a man and not making any excuses when maybe there were some that Anthony Joshua could have latched onto. But Deontay Wilder has latched onto many excuses that are conspiracy theories, not proven, not true, and that is the big problem with Wilder, especially going forwards in his boxing career. You have to wonder, how does Wilder come back from this? I mean, he had an opportunity to fight the WBC World Champion. He missed that and allowed the contract to expire. So Wilder finds himself now in a position that no one would want to be in. No fighter would want to be in Deontay Wilder's shoes right now because he's making up all of these theories, which doesn't do any good for the sport of boxing, not at all. It doesn't make it look good for him and for boxing, and he should kind of think about that. It's not just about him, it's about boxing as well, and he's making it look bad. Then again, he's in no man's land. Who's going to want to fight him because he's in that who needs him club? No one is going to want to fight Wilder because he's dangerous, and if they win, what credit do they get for beating someone who's just a big knockout puncher? So he's kind of in that club of who needs him, who will want to fight Wilder now. No one. No one's going to risk their position within a governing body to fight someone like Wilder, who they aren't going to get credit for beating. And there is a possibility that that punch always lands, so he's a dangerous opponent that no one really needs to face at the moment, so he finds himself in a very difficult position, and in my opinion, that is the reason why he is coming out with all of these conspiracy theories, whether he believes them or not. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but he is speaking up, and the way he is doing it is designed to get the most media coverage possible. He might believe them, he might not, but at the end of the day, there is an ulterior motive for Deontay Wilder. And you have to wonder, what if he would have taken this loss like a man, like Anthony Joshua did? Then he would actually be in a better position in his boxing career as opposed to the one he is in now. Because you have to also wonder, why did he not take this third fight with Tyson Fury? Because he clearly had the opportunity. There were many dates, but he kept pushing it back further and further. So, I mean, Anthony Joshua is fighting, Dillian Whyte has fought, Alexander Usyk, Derek Chisora Loma versus Lopez, the big fights seem to be going ahead. Why did this one not? And in my opinion, if the fighter wants to fight, the fights happen. So behind the scenes, there is some reason why Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3 did not. And going back to Anthony Joshua, he did not have a long period of time to get his head around the loss to Andy Ruiz before he was going back into training camp to fight him again. And apparently Eddie Hearn had to go through a lot just to get Andy Ruiz back in the ring for that fight, because apparently they were trying to get out of the rematch with Anthony Joshua. They were making excuses here, there and everywhere for reasons why they aren't going to take this fight. So Eddie Hearn had to do his work and his job to make sure Ruiz was back in the ring. Then mirror that and look at Deontay Wilder's situation. It never seemed like he was going to rematch Tyson Fury. It just didn't. Wilder wasn't talking, he wasn't saying anything, there was media silence. His team were changing the goalposts, saying that it's this date, it's that date, now we're moving it again and again. So there was always this kind of doubt that this fight was never going to happen, and it hasn't. I mean, many said, oh yeah, the fight's going to go ahead, it's going to happen, but we were all quietly suspicious that it isn't, and now it's not going to go ahead. And I always wonder, is it the fighter that doesn't want the fight, or is it the team that are incompetent behind the scenes? Maybe it's a bit of both, but if the fighter does want to fight, then the fight usually does happen. So why has Wilder also waited until the contract has expired to make up all of these conspiracy theories or latch onto them from his fans? Because Anthony Joshua in his loss to Andy Ruiz made zero excuses, just got on with it, gave Andy Ruiz the credit for winning the fight, took it like a man. As Tyson Fury explained, Fury has said, if he loses one day, that is how he will be, just like Anthony Joshua was. So that is encouraging that Tyson Fury shares that sentiment with Anthony Joshua, that if the better man wins, then you give them the credit. That is the way boxing should be. That is usually the way boxing is, but Wilder is something else entirely to any other boxer I think we've seen before. And that's not a good thing. That is a bad thing, because all of these conspiracy theories that he is latching onto does not help the sport, it just makes it worse, and I hope that he knows that and puts an end to it, but I quietly suspect that he's not going to do that. He has to say these things, he has to make excuses because he's that kind of guy. That is what he has done during his whole career, and his fans, they seem to believe him, which is fair enough if they want to. But he needs to move beyond this. Does he want to be a well-known boxer for his achievements in the ring, or does he want to be known as a gimmick? And the question is, where does Wilder go from here? Does he take an interim fight? Does he take a comeback fight? Or does he just try and fight this with Tyson Fury? Because even if he can get Tyson Fury in the ring, does he really want to fight him? That is the big question. So what is he going to do? Is he going to take a fight against someone like Andy Ruiz? Or someone like, say, Michael Hunter? No, he's not going to do that. Look at his resume, that'll tell you all you need to know. He won't do that. So Deontay Wilder is in a very unique position, a difficult position for him, but a position that he has put himself into, and a position he's trying to get out of by talking. That's not going to work this time. He needs to back his words up inside the ring. Yes, he's got a load of knockouts that say that he's backed his words up, but if you look at who those knockouts have come against, then you'll start to wonder, has he navigated his way through the heavyweight division during his whole career? And that is the reason why he stayed undefeated for so long, probably taking the necessary fights at that right point in Deontay Wilder's career, and the necessary fights that he can win, where the risk is quite low, but the reward maybe is a little bit higher, especially when you consider who he won the WBC World Championship against. Bermane Stiverne. So Wilder is a concussive knockout puncher. He'll always have that, and I guess in some respects he is entertaining, although a lot of his fights seem to be him getting outboxed, then he lands one punch, which isn't a hugely entertaining fight, but still, let's give him that. He has that, but what else does he have? He thinks he's a good talker, but he's not. He's really not, especially if you consider what he is saying now. He really isn't thinking it through. The effects that it will have later on in his career. One day he will look back on all of these things that he has said and he will think, why the hell did I say all of that? And I guess that's something that he will have to deal with. But at the moment, the burning question is, where does he go from here? That is the question that Wilder probably doesn't even have the answer to. That is why he is throwing all of his toys out of the pram. If he would have just taken his loss like a man and had a grounded team behind him that weren't just yes men saying that he's the best thing since sliced bread, the best boxer in the world, the most devastating knockout puncher, then he would have been more grounded, took his loss like a man, then he would have come back bigger, better and stronger. But that hasn't happened. I think that having yes men inside his team have not helped him at all, and the one person who wasn't a yes man is Mark Breland. Now he has been removed from the team, so all Wilder has in his team now are yes men. That will do him no good during his career going forward. It's done him no good throughout the last year of his career. And that is the glaring difference between Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. The difference in mindset, the difference in the teams behind them. Anthony Joshua does not have yes men. Tyson Fury does not have yes men. Deontay Wilder does. He needs his ego to be massaged by those behind the scenes. And while that is happening, Wilder will never get beyond this point. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.